Hello and welcome back to Frogboy X1 Gaming. I'm Andrew, and today we're gonna talk about 1440p versus 4K for next-gen consoles, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X. So, as you know, I've had my Xbox Series X since the beginning of the generation. Got my PlayStation 5, bought the Xbox Series S so that I could test games for that for the community. And right after getting the Xbox Series S, I decided to invest in a 1440p monitor. That actually got me to invest in a bigger 1440p monitor as well. So I have been gaming 4K 1440p on both of these. The Xbox Series X has always had the ability to set the console into 1440p mode to be able to run on a 1440p monitor natively. So is what happens when you do that is you will, when you effectively set the resolution to 1440p, you will be able to experience a downsampled from 4K down to 1440p if your game is running at higher resolutions than 1440p, which will in fact add more. It essentially adds more fidelity to the visual image as you are playing on that smaller screen. Now, I can't say for sure that if you had a 55-inch 1440p that the picture would look as sharp. It would still look sharp. It would still look pretty clean. That's the thing. Both of these consoles, and now I've actually have access to the PlayStation 5 beta to be able to experience that console at 1440p as well. Here's the thing. Nowadays, with these consoles, we are able to get games that will go above 60 frames a second. And the biggest reason to want a 1440p monitor is for those games like Call of Duty Warzone. I was playing that today. I was playing some Doom Eternal. I picked up another copy of Doom Eternal. So now I have Doom Eternal on Xbox and the PlayStation. So I was able to play around with that in 120 hertz. And it looks incredible. It looks incredible because it's now running at 1440p on the 1440p monitor. I believe it actually runs at like 1800p or something, or maybe a little bit higher on the next gen consoles than 1440p. So the downsampling actually does add more clarity to the game while you're playing. There are some setbacks. There are some drawbacks, like with ghosting and stuff. On a 1440p monitor as opposed to like an OLED. But these are the same ghosting problems that you're going to get if you're not using an OLED. If you're using some sort of any kind of like an LCD screen or something like that, you got one of those QLEDs, something like that, you're still going to, you essentially you're just accepting a smaller version of that, but you'll still get like a ghosting effect when playing on those type of sets. OLED is the only one that really kind of gets rid of that. I mean, I've noticed that there are some artifacting type of stuff on a 4K OLED too, but not as much. It's usually pretty nice, pretty pristine with the pixel or whatever. I'm here to tell you that I personally believe that gaming on a monitor is much better is a much better experience than I have on my OLED, on the QLED that I used to have, any type of that. The monitor has a 1 millisecond response time, which really makes it so much nicer. It just feels smoother. It feels great. It feels great. And as you know, I have I have a 3060 Ti in my PC, which is pretty much a 1440p card. It will do 4K 60 on a lot of games actually. Like it's pretty good for the most part. Like it's really good bang for my buck. But when I'm testing 1440p across the board, on games like The Witcher, and some other stuff, like some other games that I'm looking at the 1440p, on the PlayStation 5, on the Xbox Series X, and on the PC itself. The PC still wins because I could set the settings like way higher. Of course, I mean that's obvious. That's a given. But the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 at 1440p are not that far behind. Really, they're not. This is also essentially good if you have games that are running sub 1440p. Being able to set these consoles at 1440p is going to essentially make them look better on a 1440p monitor than you would trying to stretch that all the way to 4K. There's a lot of pros. Like there's a lot of pros with these upgraded consoles, with the Series X and PlayStation 5, even the Series S. There's a lot of pros with going with that, with a 1440p monitor for your gaming habits going forward, than there are for 4K. OLED is probably your best bet. Some of them OLED TVs are going to have really good upscalers, but there's a consistent blur on a lot of games that are in 4K nowadays on the newer consoles. Not like right close to you, but in the distance, you'll see like a little more blur, a little more shimmering. Well, once you put this on a 1440p monitor, that goes away. Like that literally goes away. I'm pretty sure most monitors that you're going to find at 1440p are going to have you're going to have refresh rates well in excess of 120 FPS. So anything that you essentially buy on well, it does work. The PlayStation 5 1440p is compatible with the HDMI 2.0. There are monitors out there that have HDMI 2.1. Right now, the VRR support is not enabled for 1440p on the PlayStation 5, but it is on the Xbox Series X. So essentially, you get all of the bang, all of the features for these next gen consoles. You essentially you're going to leave Dolby Vision on the table unless you want to spend more money for a monitor. But you're going to be able to still get your HDR. You're going to be able to get your high frame rate, 120 hertz, and you'll be able to get really low. You'll be able to get the really low input latency that the monitors already have built in. This is really good. I'll have a link for the monitors that I use, the LG Ultragear 1440p. It's 165 hertz refresh rate with that unlocks up to 180. So these monitors are pretty good, and they're really affordable. For the 27-inch one, I paid just under $400, and for the 32-inch one, I paid like $450. It was like $450 for that one. So I mean, you're getting everything that like that you would pay, like $600, $700, $800 for in a 55-inch TV. You're getting every single bit of that for about half the price and about half the screen size, but way better. These monitors completely outclass anything that's like some QLED screen might have a little bit better HDR support, but everything else 100% better on these monitors. The only thing I could see you possibly doing is maybe an OLED. The OLED technology is really great, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. I rarely use my OLED for gaming now. Like I rarely ever turn it on. I am always on one of these monitors. They have greatly enhanced my experience when it comes to console gaming as well as PC gaming. It's really nice. It really is good. Like I said, you're going to get more benefits in image quality going to a 1440p monitor than you will ever get on your 4K TV. And this is especially important for you PlayStation guys. There's a lot of games from PlayStation 4 all the way forward, even the streaming services and everything that you can download through PlayStation Plus Premium and stuff. If you want a solid image quality, you're going to want to go with a 1440p monitor, because that's going to be a far more consistent experience across all your games. I've been testing these today. I've been testing PlayStation 4 games. I've been testing, live streaming the games. I've been testing everything on this 1440p monitor with the PlayStation 5 set in 1440p. It's good. It is really good. This is the most I've been happy with my PlayStation 5 since I got it. I just wasn't feeling the 4K the 4K on a lot of stuff. On a lot of stuff. Like this 1440p mode literally makes Ghost of Tsushima look way better than it does on a 4K TV. You get better looking textures. Everything looks nicer. Everything looks cleaner. It's nice. You got games like The Last of Us 2 that literally look incredible at pixel to 1-to-1 pixel, man. Like that looks good. Playing around in Uncharted at 1440p, Uncharted 4. Whoa, whoa, it looks really good. Playing Spider-Man in the performance mode, just the 60 FPS one that has the upscaled 4K. It adds so much fidelity to the image by downsampling to 1440p from that upscaled 4K. Wow, it looks good. It looks incredible. Xbox Series X is the exact same way. Playing games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, having it downsampled to 1440p, it looks incredible. And that's another one on the PlayStation 5. It looks incredible now. You will see far less disparity between both these consoles on a 1440p monitor than you ever. You'll see far less than you would on a 4K TV for sure. Like I said, especially with Sony and their really high quality visuals, the 1440p monitor is perfect. Now here's where I want to see next gen gaming going. There's a lot of benefits to playing on a 1440p monitor. You get all your bang, all your buck, all the features from the consoles, and a lot of these games that are going to run in 120 hertz, they're going to range from 1080p to 1440p. There's nothing you can do about that. These consoles are just not strong enough to do really any higher visuals at 120 hertz than 1080p to 1440p. Like that's just where you're at. So wouldn't it make sense to have a screen that would give you a beautiful image no matter what you're playing, period? Like everything looks good, versus getting a 4K TV for twice the cost and then having to choose between quality and performance. Like Demon's Souls, that was a big one for me when I first got the PlayStation 5. That really mattered to me for some reason. I wanted the beautiful visuals that the 4K mode had, but I wanted the performance. Now I have that. I literally have that. Like, it looks incredible at 1440p, and I get 60 frames a second. It's incredible. It really does enhance these games. Now, I know I've been talking a lot about the PlayStation because this is the newest, the update, the 1440p for the PlayStation 5. But this is incredible for Xbox Series X as well. If you're an Xbox owner, an Xbox Series X, and I highly recommend, stop looking for a 4K TV, guys. Stop looking for a 4K TV. Get a 1440p monitor, and you will truly see just how amazing these games can look. And there's a reason why I'm saying this now. There's a reason why. Now the PlayStation has it. I would love to see developers and first-party studios really, really create some really high-quality 1440p modes with unlocked frame rates, or give us higher frame rates. These consoles will do pretty much 1440p native at about 100 frames on a lot of games. Like, these consoles are pretty decent. Like, you've seen Spider-Man and Miles Morales on PlayStation 5 be able to go well in excess of 100 frames a second and still be able to give you a 1440p-ish resolution. And I'll tell you what, man, that ray tracing mode on the PlayStation 5, it looks really good now with that enabled. The 4K, you could be able to run it, the 4K mode at 40 frames a second, and it feels smoother on a monitor than it does on a TV. Like, this is good. This is very good for the future of gaming as console gamers. This right here opens up a lot better. In my opinion, this opens up the door for them to really push visuals and frame rates at the same time and truly be able to deliver that for you. I'm happy with what we've gotten so far. I really am. I'm really happy with the products that we've gotten so far. A lot of them kind of have done that, for the most part. We are getting some pretty decent looking 1440p games that are available now that you can actually start playing. Other stuff that's just above the 1440p, like I said, super samples down and gives you a better. But I mean, imagine if these guys created a high quality, high performance 1440p mode that's native, that's just ready to go. Because I'm telling you, man, setting my PC to native 1440p and like cranking up all the settings, it does look decidedly better than what we're still getting on the consoles, but they are close. They are close enough without anything being touched to where, hey man, dial up these settings just a little bit more. Dial them up just a little bit more and go ahead and give these guys an amazing experience. Both PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and Xbox Series S are really well-rounded for 1440p gaming. I think they are amazing. With each step, you get higher settings at 1440p. Series S, could potentially fall a little bit behind, with like 30 frames a second if they're always shooting for native 1440p. But I would say even a 1440p monitor for the Series S is a solid buy, because going from 1440p to 1080p is not that big of a jump. It's nowhere near the pixel density and resolution and everything that you would lose going from 4K to 1440p. So it still looks sharp, it still looks clean, it still looks pretty good. So that's pretty much my thoughts on this. I would really like to see these developers really take the time and effort, put in the effort to create solid 1440p modes for these games going forward. That would be incredible. Imagine what they could do with a game like Forza Motorsport at 1440p with ray tracing and 120 frames, or just being able to really crank out. The lower the resolution they aim for, the better ray tracing you will get as well. So that's something to really think about. You could definitely, because most of these games are coming out with quarter resolution in their ray tracing. If they're quarter resolution of 4K is 1080p. So if you're looking at a game that's running at 1440p with 1080p reflections, that's going to look really good. That's going to look really, really good. So I would encourage developers moving forward to create these modes to be able to better take advantage of the ray tracing features and give customers and give gamers an option to be able to get the best screen that's going to work for them. Now, yes, of course, Microsoft and PlayStation should still be aiming to deliver a solid 4K image, because that's what they've got on the box. That's what they have on the box. But I'm telling you right now, I choose 1440p over 4K any day of the week. My games look and feel way better at 1440p. They look and play a lot better on the monitor than they do on the TV. On the TV, the settings, they can't really push the settings too high for 4K because it's 4K. It takes so much VRAM to do 4K with higher settings than it does for 1440p, man. Like 1440p is the sweet spot. You're looking at probably 8 gigs of VRAM at 1440p, like up to 8 gigs of VRAM, depending on how everything is. Whereas on 4K, you need a minimum of 10. You need a minimum of 10 VRAM just to do like the 4K and everything like that. And then if you crank ray tracing and stuff into there, you're getting pretty high, man. Like 10 gigs of VRAM is pretty much where most of these games are sitting. These newer games with 4K resolution. So that's kind of weird. That's why you see these cards coming out with 12 gigs, 16 gigs, all this VRAM, for these newer cards, because 4K takes a lot of VRAM to be able to load in all that data and all that texture. So, all right. That's it. That's my thoughts. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you made it this far, thank you. You're a freaking trooper. Hit that like and hit that subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one, guys.